Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the products we've been getting to make our job a little bit safer in the trash pickup business, especially when it comes to running the route and then also cleaning the garbage truck and maintaining it. We're still trying to source a full first aid kit, but we do have now a spill kit. So if there's any type of hydraulic spill or fluid that is leaking, we can contain that. So that's a little bit more environmentally friendly. And then along the first aid lines, we did go ahead and get a bottle of eye wash. I would say this is probably one of the bigger risks, is me catching some trash juice to the face. And if it does get in the eyes, that's no good. So full first aid kit is still on the short list. Fire extinguisher is also something that we're looking at, but for now we've got a couple of things that should keep us safer on the route. Another safety issue comes into play when I'm cleaning this truck at the end of each route and I have to raise the tailgate in order to work underneath it. This is a Vevor Underhoist stand. Basically, it holds things up. This pole will slide up and down. You can actually pull it all the way out, and it has holes that this pin indexes, and that holds it up. You can also do fine adjustments with this guy right here. There is some assembly required, but I mean, if you can turn a bolt and a wrench, it's really not that difficult to put together. There are safety props that this liftgate has, but it just doesn't give you a ton of room to work in. So that's generally why I don't use those. It just doesn't give enough working room, and this amount of wiggle room gives me paranoia. And now, not only are the hydraulics supporting it, but those would have to fail. But then you can see these guys, and you can wedge them up a little bit too, so they'll actually lift up some. That's what these guys are good for, increasing the tension so it pushes up against it. And even though they were wobbly when they weren't being used, you can see now with some pressure on them, they firm up pretty nice. So I feel pretty good about those, and that will help me whenever I'm cleaning this thing out, which I like to do every week after service. You can see there's not much trash in there at all, and that's because I clean it out pretty much all the time. Now, the last tool we're going over today is this Sunex 3/4 inch drive, 100 to 600 foot-pound torque wrench. Now, that's a mouthful, but this is a tool that I have to start making sure that my wheel lug nuts are tightened the appropriate way. These guys right here, they are what hold your wheel on. So it's very important that they are tightened to the correct setting, which on this vehicle is 362 foot-pounds of torque. And when they are the correct torque setting, we should feel a click and also hear one too. Locally in my town, there's nowhere that's gonna sell this, so I have to go to Jacksonville. There's a Lowe's right on the west side of town, so it's the most convenient place for me to get to that sells this wrench. And I wanted somewhere I could walk into, because these things need to be calibrated, and if there were any return issues, I wanted to be able to walk into somebody and talk to them. Can't do that with Amazon. When you're done with a torque wrench, you want to make sure you back all that torque off and set it back down to 0. And then you also get a nice carry case with this Sunex, so you don't have to worry about it getting beat up or dinged. You just have to now go buy a tool chest that's big enough to hold this thing. I don't think any of my 3 have a drawer long enough. So for any of those products, if you're outfitting your business with similar items, Amazon's probably the most convenient way to get those things, and there'll be links in the description below. With that caveat of something like that torque wrench, I wouldn't buy online. I would want to buy it from a store like Lowe's, where I could walk into somebody and say, hey, this thing isn't working for whatever reason. To me, that just seems a lot easier than dealing with Amazon, especially with how big it is. But all the links will be in the description. And keep in mind too, a lot of these acquisitions have been driven from your input and your comments about ways that we could be safer, ways we could be doing things better. So I really appreciate those. Keep them coming. If you see any issues that we haven't addressed, drop a comment and we'll add it to the list. And you know, the whole point of these videos are to, one, entertain you, but then also educate you. So if you're somebody who's starting a new business, realize I really don't know too much about trash. I don't know what I don't know. So I've got to rely on comments from folks who have been doing it a lot longer. And my wife and I really appreciate you guys watching and commenting. So as always, thank you so much for that support, and we'll see you in the next one.